Super Rugby Grand Final time. It's been 19 weeks and it's all going to come to an end. It's kind of sad. I've loved Super Rugby this season, but there has to be one winner and only one winner. How good, guys? Anyway, let's get into this. So the Super Rugby final is, going to be held in Christchurch on the 21st of June. Crusaders versus Chiefs. The Chiefs will be gutted that they lost to the Blues a couple of weeks back, and they'll be gutted that they're not having a home final, but it is what it is. So in this video, I'm going to be covering firstly an analysis of both sides, the Crusaders and the Chiefs, and then stick around till the end and I'll give you my prediction for the grand final for Super Rugby in 2025. So firstly, we look at the Chiefs. Look, they had a good win in the end against the Brumbies. The Brumbies really took them in that first half, I felt, like that physicality, that they really got the phases going and they really did test the Chiefs. It wasn't comprehensive from the Chiefs in that first half, I thought, particularly their attack. Guys, let me know your thoughts on their attack below. I still haven't seen in the last 2 weeks the Chiefs attack to their potential that they did in the round robin games. Like, the ruck speed is just not that fast compared to what it can be. The ball carries, I don't think they're hitting hard, fast lines like they were in previous round robin games, and particularly the playmakers is going to Damien McKenzie, and I don't think the options or they're shifting it into space as well as they can. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Look, they got 1 week to turn that around, and if the Chiefs can play as well on attack as they have in previous round robins, I don't see any reasons why they can't score 25 points against the Crusaders in the final. But look, time will tell. I think we look at that Chiefs defence. Yeah, they had a bit of trouble with that rolling maul against the Brumbies, but look, the Brumbies were particularly effective in 2025 with that rolling maul, and they have a lot of wallabies in that Brumbies forward pack, so I wouldn't underestimate the power and efficiency of that Brumbies forward pack. So, but look, they cover well. Particularly that Chiefs midfield, I thought was particularly strong. Quinta Payer's playing quite well this season. And look, I think in the end, what held them in the game was the Chiefs with Damien McKenzie. Look, his goal kicking and general kicking, I thought, was absolutely superb. They get a penalty, 3 points, and it just enabled them to just keep that scoreboard pressure on against the Brumbies. And then ultimately towards the end, they got a couple of tries, started to gel and execute a couple of attacking plays. So yeah, look, Damien McKenzie was phenomenal, and I think particularly that last try, you saw that break up the middle, and then in previous weeks you'd see Damien McKenzie would try and score a try himself, but he's looking a lot more a game manager, a game driver, as opposed to just an individual brilliant player. So yeah, he's having a good season, Damien McKenzie. And look, Amoni Narawa, when the pressure came on, 2 big tries to him, particularly that first one, that breakaway was magnificent. Out of nowhere, just straight through the middle and into the corner. So good opportunity for the Chiefs, but they've certainly got their work cut out for them against the Crusaders. Guys, if you're enjoying the content, hit the subscribe button, like the video. If there's a week to chuck some banter down below, it's certainly the grand final weekend, guys. Guys, we then look at the Crusaders. I've said in previous weeks, they're not flashy, and I don't think they have the game changers like some of the other Super Rugby sides that can just carve teams up when required. But look, you look at that Crusaders versus Blues game, and I think from me, let me know your thoughts down below, but the defence from the Crusaders was just phenomenal. Like, I've never seen them be so impressive on defence. And particularly towards the end, that Blues attack, to hold the Blues out around about 40 phases, like 40 phases is just, I don't even know if we've seen that before in Super Rugby history, that a team has held out another side for 40 phases on defence. But phenomenal. Like, you just see that on their defence, the team, they work so hard for each other. How many of those tries by the Blues were held up over the line, particularly that physicality that they cover so well. And yeah, look, they were just phenomenal, the Crusaders. And then, look, you look at their attack. I was a bit concerned by the Crusaders' attack going into the semi-final against the Blues. But look, what you saw, they're not flashy, but the Crusaders are a very well-drilled, accurate side. So when the Crusaders get enough phases up, they apply that pressure, and then, you know, they've got enough game changers that can carve teams up. And you just look at Will Jordan. Like, he was phenomenal against the Blues. 2 tries, brilliant. And he's just a leader. He's looking all the time, talking with the playmakers. Where's the space? Yeah, he was brilliant. So, and I'm expecting him to be absolutely superb again in this final. He will be hungry to win. But look, you look at some of their other All Blacks they have, like the likes of Scott Barrett, Cody Taylor and the forwards. You know, the physicality they're bringing is superb, both on attack and defence. And then you look at the power of like Sevu Reece, you know, particularly up the middle, he can pick and go. He's so fast, so strong and deceptive. Like, he's another really dangerous player. So whilst the Crusaders don't have the real firepower, as I've said, I think they still have enough firepower to test and score enough points to win the game against the Chiefs. Look, in summary, guys, of both teams, I think either team could win this on the day. I think you have a Chiefs side that, you know, 4 or 5 weeks ago, everybody thought they were going to win the Super Rugby, but I think they've really drastically gone downhill, unfortunately. I don't think they're anywhere near as clinical and as accurate on defence or attack as they can be. And look, 4 or 5 weeks ago, the Crusaders since then have just gone up and up levels, haven't they, guys? So certainly that Crusaders defence has just gone up a whole bunch of levels, hasn't it? And the Crusaders attack, you know, clinical, accurate, and they're more than capable of scoring points. So 2 big factors for this game, though: a home crowd advantage for the Crusaders. Look, Canterbury, that loves its sport, and I'm sure this game will be, if not sold out, very close to capacity. Die-hard supporters, and that will have a significant benefit to the Crusaders. And then I think the other one is the history. And we all say history doesn't matter, history's in the past, but I think the psychology edge of it will be quite significant. For, like, you imagine being in that Crusaders side, and, you know, Crusaders teams have won 31 games in a row in Canterbury in finals. So would you in a million years want to be the first Crusaders side to lose a final at home? I certainly wouldn't, and I think that gives them the edge this training week. I think they'll train the absolute house down. I think they'll have that edge over the Chiefs in the training week this week. And look, ultimately, I don't see a lot in this game, finally, from my prediction, but home crowd advantage to the Crusaders. 31 games in a row been won by the Crusaders for finals rugby. I just see the Crusaders being too strong. So Crusaders to win the grand final for 2025 by 6 points. Let me know your thoughts on the prediction down below. And guys, if you've enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button, like the video, and chuck plenty of banter down about the grand final. It's going to be an awesome game. Can't wait. Cheers.